I can't see my opponent. Off to a great start. I will sit and wait patiently for my opponent's microphone and camera to work. So debate. There we go. All right. I don't see a thing to let me pass the mic, so I'm going to go ahead and do your thing because this is your topic.
Hang on 1 second. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hang on 1 second. That's really bad. Can you try saying something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
A little better.
Okay, let me try this adjustment. Is that better? Is that a little bit more clear, louder?
Yeah, that's better.
I can't be too loud.
No, you're
Okay.
really loud
Like
on
I said,
my headphones, but I can't like turn it down. And I can hear myself.
okay. Okay. I don't know what to say. I haven't had issues with this mic before. I wish somebody else in the chat could tell us if my mic's working appropriately for them. But regardless, I guess if you can hear me well enough, it would matter if you can hear me, because I want you to go ahead and open up with this, since this is your topic and not mine.
I don't know.
Whenever you're ready.
See, they said they can hear us both just fine, but I hear my voice as I talk. I can hear it repeating. So it's like there's an echo every time I say something.
I don't know what to tell you right now, other than I'm sorry. And you're frozen. Well, everyone, this was a good debate. Thank you for tuning in.
Okay.
Is that any better?
All right, yeah, that's better. I had 2 tabs open.
Okay.
I can't see you anymore, though, but it's okay.
Well, we're waiting on you. Start whenever you're ready.
Okay, we'll start when I'm ready. So, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, it's your proposition, not mine.
Oh, okay. So Donald Trump's travel ban is unethical. I'm going to say it is unethical because I think everybody is entitled to the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this ban targets people from 7 different countries: Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and Libya. It's basically like discrimination at its finest. It would be the equivalent of New Hampshire residents.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Can you repeat that last part? It's basically what?
I said it's basically discrimination. An example of this ban on a smaller scale. I'm from the state of New Hampshire. So this would be equivalent to the governor of New Hampshire saying that, residents of California, Montana, Nebraska, Ohio, and Florida can no longer come into the state of New Hampshire, and the implications that would have on everything from New Hampshire. You know what I mean? Like this is just a smaller scale, but it's an example. So I think those are a couple different points that I'll let you respond to right now.
Okay, that was your opening. All right. Well, first off, you're comparing apples to oranges, very apples to very different oranges. Nobody has a right to enter the U.S. Nobody has that right. People have the ability, they have the privilege, but they don't have a right to enter our country. And the president has the authority to actually, shut down entrance to the United States detrimental to its people or to our safety. And the 7 countries that the Trump's travel ban affects are the same 7 countries that Obama's White House enforced as well. So I just like to state that Obama did this a few years ago and nobody had any issue. So again, you're comparing people going, you're saying it's like people going from different states to this state. That's not how this works at all. That people are not able to go to different states, you're still giving the fact that they live in the country. And so they're supposed to be able to travel within those borders. But people aren't supposed to be in the United States from other countries unless they gain access appropriately through the right channels. So I fail to see from your open how it's unethical. Even if what you said, even if I give it the credence of being true, it doesn't mean it's unethical. So I'd like to first off understand unethical that he's telling people who have no right to our country that they need to wait to come in.
Okay, so I'll respond to that by saying that I think when it comes to ethics, like ethics don't discriminate based on a country. Okay, like you're either a principled person or you're not. You're not like we're talking about like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, right? Which was basically adopted.
The universal what?
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, right? It's adopted by the United Nations and the General Assembly on December 10th, 1948. One of the articles, which basically pretty much says that you can't discriminate based on someone's nationality. Like you can't unlawfully detain somebody. It's almost like the very same principles that this.
They didn't.
Yes, they did. There was actually it was Stanford University issued a press release saying that one of its students, upon returning from a trip to Sudan, before being verified as a legal resident, was detained and put in handcuffs. All right. So this ban, right, that you're advocating for, saying it's not ethical. Basically, what it does, this whole ban was founded on the idea that we're going to prevent terrorism by not allowing people from these countries to come in for a solid 120 days until these countries agree to give us this or agree to give us that. But it also grants the Secretary of State.
You're breaking up so much, it's hard for me to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, same when you talk. I don't know what to do about that. I'll try to talk slower.
As far as your points go, I again, that's what you're describing has nothing to do with ethics.
Yes, it does. Unlawful.
The student was detained. Can I interrupt you?
Okay, buddy.
Well, when that student was detained, you said they put in handcuffs and they were a citizen.
Yes.
That doesn't sound unethical. That just sounds like screening.
Unethical? You think it's okay to put somebody in handcuffs that hasn't done anything wrong? What happened to innocent until proven guilty? Like you can't just. When
you're pulled over for a infraction or something like I don't know, let's say when you're arrested for doing something, or you're detained,
you have to have probable cause.
They put you in handcuffs. That's detaining you. So this person was detained, which means to detain somebody, and handcuffs is just one way to detain a person. If you're thrown into a cell naked and sprayed with a fire hose, that would be a different story. But saying they were just put in handcuffs and they had to have their citizenship, that to me, that's not.
To put another peaceful human being in handcuffs for no reason whatsoever. How is that ethical?
Do you know the reason that the person was detained?
What do you mean? Because they were presumed to have been from a certain country. That's not a crime. There's no.
Because they're what?
They were presumed to have been from a certain country, because this law, what it does is it discriminates an entire country's worth of people on the presumption that some of them might come to this country and commit a crime. That's like saying if the Sandy Hook shooter was from Connecticut, we should detain everybody from Connecticut that comes into our state, right? And it's not ethical if we detain you because you happen to be from Connecticut, where some bad person was from. All right, so we're gonna just.
You're creating a slippery slope argument.
No, you're creating it.
This is one individual
that our country was founded on, right? The right to.
You're saying, I believe it was about 130 people that were detained out of the thousands and thousands that traveled that day. So there was 130 something people detained. For thousands of people traveling, that's a extremely small percentage. I agree that it wasn't well implemented, but that doesn't mean it's unethical.
It is unethical to use force and to hold somebody against their will. It's a fundamental right that we have to travel. Okay, if I'm in America and I have friends that live in Damascus, Syria right now, friends that I know personally that I met when we protested military intervention back in 2013. Okay, they can't come here. They have family here in the United States. They can't see their family now. If their family is sick and dying in the hospital, they can't come here to be by their bedside to say goodbye to their own family members now because of this unethical ban that prohibits them from coming here when they've done nothing wrong to anybody. So how can you tell me it's not unethical?
Because by your definition, that isn't unethical. As I said, a country has their orders and they have a right to deny anybody access if the president deems. I can pull up the constitutional thing now, but it says that the president has the ability to shut down immigration if he feels like there's a threat to our society, national security, or its people. And the president felt that way. He banned the same 7 countries that Obama banned, and it's a temporary order. It would have only been 120 days for Syria. I really am failing to understand the unethical part of this.
So if Hitler had the right to round up all the Jews, does that make it any less ethical? Just because the current governing system grants them permission to do so, it doesn't make it ethical. Ethics and principles are like.
I'm
it's
impressed.
Natural law. It's not. It's like a couple unethical people that put some laws down on paper and are willing to use force and coercion to enforce it doesn't somehow make them ethical. Like, ethical is human rights. It's not limited to your nationality. It's not because, oh, this is our country, we can decide, well, this is just as much my country than as it is yours. And if I say I want my friends from Syria to come and visit me, I should have that right. If they haven't done anything wrong, you have no right to put your hands on them, to use force, to use government force to prevent them from.
You do, country, you do, actually.
No, you don't. You think you do. Well, okay.
Yeah, you do.
You might have that right under the current laws, but it doesn't make them any less unethical. Okay, it's still unethical.
No, again, it's not unethical. Like, no. You're talking about somebody doing something that they have a privilege to do. And then they should verify their citizenship and to verify they're not a threat, and then they're released. That's not unethical. You may not like the way it was implemented, but that's not unethical.
These people haven't done anything wrong. And for you to, like, you supporting government, this travel ban, you're basically supporting government force.
I didn't say I supported that.
You're supporting government force being used on people to prevent them from coming in this country, like actual physical force and coercion on peaceful people. Peaceful people.
I didn't say I support that. I just said I don't think it's unethical, because it isn't.
How is it not unethical?
I may
not agree with it, but that doesn't mean
it has a right to its borders and it can enforce.
It's coercion. Coercion
because a country has a right to its borders. I don't think coercion, again, taking a privilege that is given to them to come to the United States. When they come to our country, we have a right to screen them. If we detain somebody and we feel to detain them, then we have all rights to. We release these people within 48 hours. Let me finish. We release these people within 48 hours. They weren't being for a long period of time. They weren't, essentially thrown into a cell and not given due process. They were detained long enough that we could assure they weren't a threat, and all of them have been released. Again, you may not like the way this is implemented, but that doesn't mean unethical.
Okay, so if I suspect you of committing a crime, I can just walk up to you, put you in handcuffs, and detain you for... Do you even know how long...
If I'm walking and you think that, yes. If I'm walking into your house and you decide that you think I'm a threat, you are able to do whatever you want to detain your own house because that's your house.
Yeah, but...
So yes, if I were to enter your dwelling as a privilege, not as a right, because I don't have a right to enter somebody's house, and that person has a right to screen me until they feel comfortable, or I should just leave because
So
it's not, I don't have a right to be there.
Then? Do I not own my property then? So if I want to invite my friend Marwa, who lives in Damascus, Syria right now, who used to be in Boston, if I want to invite her to my house, why should I not have that right? Who are you to tell me, or who is Donald Trump to tell me that I can't invite my friend over to my house?
He's the president of the United States.
So that somehow grants him permission and control over me? Like, I thought we abolished slavery 100-something years ago.
That's a huge non sequitur. What does that have to do with slavery?
But to tell me who I can and can't associate with, I thought, like, I mean, what do you support? Freedom?
Yeah, and I support people to freely come to a country, but they also need to acknowledge the fact that they have a right to be rejected from that country. They don't have a right to.
Peaceful people trumps ethics. So because you're afraid, because you and Donald Trump are so afraid of these people that you somehow are allowed to oppress them.
You keep strawmanning me, and I don't appreciate it.
Let them come to my house or my like.
I'm not oppressing them by them coming to my country.
As it is anybody else's, right? If I want to invite these people here and I want to associate with them, I should have that right, should I not? Freedom to associate? Is that not one of our rights?
You have a right to bring people to your house and bring somebody to your house. But when you're saying, I want somebody to go from one country to another country, and I don't think that the government should have any say, that's unfortunately... Now, don't strawman me and say that I'm condoning this. I'm just saying that that's not how the law works, and it's not unethical for a country immigration.
Well, okay, so why is this only limited to Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and Libya? Why not implement the same standards for all countries? Huh? Why is it these specific?
What was that?
Why not implement, right? If it's a matter of, oh, we have the right to do this, right? And it's a matter of being ethical. Why is it that only these 7 specific countries are being discriminated against? And
because those are the same countries that Obama felt were threats as well. He used those in his ban when he was in office as well. Those same 7 countries. And actually, I don't know if you've actually read the travel. I don't know if you actually read the travel ban entirety, but I've spent the whole day reading the travel ban. And section 3 or 3 section F says at any point after submitting the list described of this section, the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Homeland Security may submit to the President the names of any additional countries recommended for similar treatment. So inside this travel ban is a clause saying that additional countries can be added.
Okay, so basically it's saying, like it also says in there that at any point in time, the Secretary of State can just deny somebody access to the country for any reason whatsoever. It gives them like sole discretion, right? It's kind of like a police chief having the ultimate say of whether or not you can own a firearm. Like it's discrimination, is what it is. It's not. To
tell people that are in a war-torn country where there is a lot of terrorism and a lot of sentiment going on. Also, a lot of people just trying to come into countries. I've been doing a lot of research because I thought you'd bring up refugees or something. At least in Britain, recently they found out that over two-thirds of the men that were, or the boys rather, were coming in and saying they were young 18-year-old boys are actually grown men. Over two-thirds of them. And it's a huge problem. People will gladly lie to try to get to the United States. The United States as, a huge beacon of opportunity. A lot of people do want to come here. And I think a lot of people should be able to. But I think they should have to go through the right channels. And they have people who are lying to get anywhere, who are basically just trying to be able to take advantage of the welfare and the government assistance and the housing and all you get, have been shown to use deceptive means to do so. And the whole point of this travel ban, and since it was temporary, was up temporarily so that they could get in extreme vetting, which was essentially because when people are coming from Syria or Iraq, these are actually Syria that have a great DMV where they keep really good records of people and where they're from and their criminal background and their history. Are coming from Syria. We don't like Syrians. It's no, these people are coming from a country where we don't know who they are. I mean, our own government has said multiple times, there's no way for us to vet these. That's a problem, especially when we know about the huge issues we have with terrorism. So, yeah, I think that it's okay for us to protect our citizens temporarily. And we're not doing it in Muslim majority countries, as people keep saying. Because if we were, we would have been in Turkey, which is like 98% Muslim.
Okay, so back on it being unethical, though. So, right, there's a Harvard student, right? These two Iranian Harvard students that were barred from going back to Harvard Medical School, right? So Harvard happens to be one of the top medical facilities, probably in the world, and a lot of great doctors there that perform some crazy surgeries, that kind of stuff. If somebody from one of
That's
these
irrelevant.
If somebody from one of these 7 countries now cannot come to this country to have access to the same life-saving medical procedures and doctors that they otherwise would have had, how is that ethical? Because you're now using laws to keep people from life-saving medicine and procedures and stuff like that. This is real stuff. This is
near them that they can get medical treatment. They don't have to fly all the way across the globe to the United States to get medical treatment. That's just delusional.
Well,
other countries, Middle East, and in Europe.
If that doctor is willing to provide that service to these people, who are you to tell him he can't? How is that ethical? You're saying that because you're
I'm not, but the president of the United States is able to.
That's why it's unethical. It doesn't matter. The president of the United States can drone strike little kids and women and kids. It doesn't make it ethical.
That's a non sequitur and it's red herring. We're not talking about people dying. Or being killed, rather. We're talking having the privilege to enter our country, not the right, because they don't have that right. They have a privilege to enter countries.
It's a fundamental human right that people have to, like, I'm sorry, I believe in human laws, I don't believe in discrimination based on nationality. I don't think your fear of outsiders trumps ethics. I really don't. And I think it's really a really bad way to go about life. I mean, the majority of people, we all coexist peacefully. We trade with other countries. There's several resources and things that we get from these 7 countries that now there's this ban on. I mean, this isn't really in anybody's best interest to impose this ban. You have research.
It's our country.
You have research facilities, right? Like, I know people that used to work at Woods Hole. I'm from Cape Cod. It's one of the top research facilities for like scientists and stuff like that, into like oceanic stuff. And there were people that used to come to this facility that would fly from several different countries all over the world, and they'd all collaborate and have these free flow of ideas. And when you start imposing ban like this, you're starting to limit the think tank. You're literally causing, you're using government force and coercion to prevent
for 120 days
from doing. It doesn't matter if it's 1 day or a year. They say it's 120 days, but you don't know what the heck is going to go on. Okay, there's already round 2 of this the immigration ban. Like, you can't ban peaceful people that have done nothing wrong from coming to this country. If they abide by all of the procedures that are in place, you can't just ban them because of the country they came from. If they've they complied with everything that everybody's supposed to do to come into this country, and then you're just discriminating against them, that is unethical. Like, ethics, principles, morals, good character, good conduct. Discriminating is not good conduct. Like, you don't walk into a church and the pastor doesn't tell you to leave because you're from a certain state. They don't tell you to leave because you're from a certain country. Those aren't good principles. They're not good qualities.
These people are
And
from
no
the same
pastor's
countries
gonna be
that
like, I don't
Obama
want you
banned.
coming into my church because I'm afraid you might do something. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to call yourself a principled person, then practice good principles. And discriminating based on your own fears is not good principles. It's not good conduct. It's not good for anybody. Like, be the change you want to see. That's what's ethics. You know, raising the standard of ethics, right? We want to embody the characteristics that we want others to take on. And that means being more embracing, more considerate, you know, like not discriminating against all these students.
Let me, because again, I'm not agreeing to the premise of your idea here that because somebody's not able to come to our country, we're somehow being unethical. But I would, since you keep on saying, you know, who gives them the right to do this? How can he do this? I'd like to read for you the title. It's Title 8, Chapter Code 1182, Section F. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens in the United States would be detrimental to the United States, he may, by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants. Of aliens, any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. Whenever the Attorney General finds that a commercial airline has failed to comply with regulations of the Attorney General relating, that gives him the ability to shut down immigration to our country.
Okay,
and again, it's temporary. It's because we have a problem with people coming and lying about who they are because we have no way to vet them, especially when people are coming from countries like Syria that are war torn.
Have you ever like?
There's no way to verify these people. That's the problem. That's the reason the ban was implemented. You know, he said we need to figure out what the hell is going on, and what he's talking about with what the hell is going on, he's saying that we can't vet people who are coming to our country, and that's a problem. These people are not coming from they're not coming from Iceland. They're coming from war-torn countries with Muslim majority population, where a lot of the people who are in those countries that are extremists would happily lie and fake their identity or buy a passport on the street to get to the United States. That's a problem.
200,000 immigrant children allegedly like wandered over the border back in 2014. If people want to do harm to this country, they're going to get in this. They're going to get in here one way or another. It's like saying
once we build that wall, they won't.
It's like saying banning drugs keeps them off the street. Banning guns keeps them out of the hands of criminals. Banning immigrants from these countries are going to keep out the people that want to do us harm. Like, come on. When has prohibition ever proven successful? Right? Like, all you're doing with
a temporary ban on these countries.
You're punishing good people because you're scared. Okay, and regardless of whether or not the president has the right to do these things,
what keeps these people from going to any other country?
Right, have the right to drone strike kids. It doesn't make it ethical. It's not good ethics. It's not good character. It's not good principles to discriminate against
besides
people.
Anecdotal, and you haven't provided ethical besides the reason, the fact that you think it is, which isn't an objective reason for it being unethical.
So what is your definition of ethics?
This ban was,
what's your definition of ethics?
Okay, if this ban was indefinite, I think that would be questionable. If this ban was against a specific group of people, that would be unethical. But it's not. It's just trees. The same Obama used.
People from these 7 countries.
Who happen to be citizens, yeah, that's rather unfortunate. But there's a lot of other countries, if they go to a hospital or see a doctor or go and visit a friend, make new friends in other countries. Then it's only 120 days. That's less than a third. Third. So they should be fine.
No, it's not.
And again, what is keeping these people? Why do these people have to come to the United States or to other countries? Why is it that we have to take all these people in?
What do you mean? Can't the Canadian Prime Minister or whatever there was saying he welcomed them all to his country, that they embrace immigration? You know, we just happen.
Then how come they're not taking all the people we're not?
What do you mean? Like, how many people have you taken into your house? Okay, speak for yourself. I'm pretty sure you're not helping anyone. You know, like it's just I have
that's
friends in Syria right now. Like I have friends I know personally in Syria right now. All right, like what's going on over there is horrible. It's absolutely freaking horrible. And if that were to ever happen to Americans, like we would want, right, people to open up their country and their homes to us to flee violence. Like,
didn't we go somewhere else, wouldn't we?
What?
Maybe somewhere, I said, and if they didn't open up their borders to us, we'd go somewhere else, wouldn't we? Go to a country we could assimilate a little better instead of going to a country where assimilation is nearly impossible.
Dude, it's practicing what you preach, like embody the principles and the ethics that
I don't
you want other people to adopt. All right, so closing your doors off to people fleeing violence is just such like a, oh God, that's so wrong.
Closing the doors off to those people, unfortunately, are included in the population, but the reason we're closing off our borders is not for reasons. It's not for, it's because we have a ginormous influx of people coming to our country. We've seen a lot of lone wolf attacks, and we know for a fact that these people who are coming from Syria and other countries with war-torn areas are lying about their age, they're lying about their identity, and they're able to do that because there's no way for us to check. There's no way for it. It's like, and they want to find out if you are who you say you are and you're not a threat. They can easily look you up and find out a very detailed history of who you are for the most part. They can buy a passport on the street and then just jump on a plane and come here. There's no way for us to verify who they are and that they are who they say they are.
Yeah, well, presume that they're not going to, why do you got to presume everybody that's going to come into this country is going to do them harm? The majority of people, there's millions of people coming in and out of the country every day. Nobody does anything. How many terrorist attacks have we really had in the last decade? Hardly any. You know how many attacks we have? We have a bunch of freaking crazies hopped up on pharmaceuticals that are American citizens that go and shoot up schools and stuff. And yet you're worried about these people from Syria and all these other countries that haven't harmed us really at all. Like nobody.
All I'm saying is that it's not unethical, and you haven't demonstrated that it is.
You're allowing fear mongering to get you to sacrifice your own moral principles, right? And support things that are unethical. What you're doing, it's fear mongering, and I get it. You know, like it's. You know, we want you, when you turn on the news and it's all you see is all this negative stuff about all these different countries, and you only have so many hours in the day, and eventually the fear takes over your mind, right? So you're going to start, this is how they sell us wars, by promoting terrorism and stuff. Because if you have, you know, if you allow government, right, to, you know, decide wars and stuff like that and tell you how much a war is going to cost, and you're fighting a war on terror, you're going to find that there's a bunch of demons that are really expensive to fight. So you're always going to have war. You're always going to have this fear-mongering stuff so long as you allow them, you know, to...
The thing is, I don't think that this is warmongering. I think that it's preventative.
It's not warmongering, it's fear-mongering. The bottom line is that it's not ethical to have...
It's not fear-mongering to say we need to... For these countries, no way for us to really verify who's coming in. We should figure out how we're going to allow people to come in this country to make sure that they're not a threat.
Fine, if you're gonna have a vetting process, if you're gonna have a vetting process, should it not be the same for everybody?
For everybody, yeah. Everybody, other countries, like let's say you have a friend from the UK. They're able to come here because of very to verify who people are in the UK, or Sweden, or Denmark, or Norway, or New Zealand, or any developed country that has records keeping.
To ban people from an entire country from coming in here, that's just as bad from banning an entire race or an entire religion. It's just that's why it's
unethical. It's not. No, that's the good thing. It's not as bad because you're banning. They're not saying, oh, you get to come and you get to come. They're saying, sorry, no one gets to come.
Yeah,
But they
no,
are
they're
getting,
saying, yeah, no,
or
they're
they, at
saying
least the travel
only
ban was
like
saying that they were getting
you
people who are
can come,
minorities in the
you
country.
can come if you're from this country or from this country or from this country, but not if you're from this country. That's what it's saying. That's why it's unethical. It's like,
Because this records keeping in this country is a huge problem with anti-American sentiment. And this country, as we know, has a huge war problem going on, and anything to get out of it.
Time, what your definition of ethics is?
My definition of, I just look it up and read it to you. I think it depends on the situation.
Like, what is your definition of ethical? Like what's your definition of ethics?
Like I said, I think that I said in this situation, say, you can't come to this country if you're a Muslim. That would be unethical. But if he says you can't come to this country if you're a country, that's not unethical. So you may not like it, but it's not unethical.
So you can discriminate against nationality, but religion's not okay? How is that any different?
I don't see it as discrimination. I see it as a screening. You're going to say, okay, if you're going to try and country where we know there's terrorism and we know that they don't keep records and that people have been lying about their age, of identity, and basically anything they can to touch foot on soil in the United States, maybe we should have some vetting procedures that are not so asinine. Would you, okay, let me put it this way. You seem like a very nice, genuine person. You probably would take somebody in off the street, but be willing to take somebody in off the street if you knew absolutely nothing about them. Would you continue to do that even if you knew you were taking a specific part of town, let's say the worst part of town you live in?
Actually, like,
I've taken in people
off the streets before.
Saying that if you get to the point where you are completely willing to take in someone who might be a harm to you, and there's no way for you to know the good Samaritan you are, then that is a dumb risk not worth taking. Because
you would think that, okay? That's like saying
there's a possibility that could wait a day to find out who that person is. Because if you could get their name and their birth date, you could easily run them and find out, what their background record is. And be impatient and just say, oh, somebody needs a place right now. And although there's hundreds of other places for them to go, just like there's over, 200 countries or whatever, that I need to do this now. That's a rushed mentality of we have to solve this problem now. And the best way to do it is by ignoring the problem and pretending that's not a realistic solution. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with the implementation of the travel ban, but I don't think that it's unethical, and I definitely don't think it's a thing.
I think discriminating is unethical, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to discriminate. If you don't wanna take in somebody off the street, then don't take in anybody off the street. You know what I mean? That's your choice.
Okay, let's say this was World War II with Nazi America.
If you don't want to take one person off the street, right? Like, because you're afraid of taking people in off the streets, I would do it just because I don't let fear dictate my life. But if you were to say, oh, well, I'll take the black person off the street, but not the white person, or I'll take the Iranian person off the street, but not the English person, or you know what I mean? Like, that's where you start getting like, okay, like you're discriminating, that's like saying, okay, we're going to take people in, like these are our standards of coming into this country. You can you can only meet all of these standards if you happen to be from every country but these ones. It's like if you were to go to apply to a job and somebody were to deny you the right to work because of your, you know what I mean? Like your race, nationality, religion, all of these things.
I think,
like, sure, somebody could do that, right? Like, I support freedom, right? I support people being free to discriminate if they so choose. What I don't think is that I don't think it's ethical. I don't think it's good ethics. I don't think it's good conduct as a person. You
keep calling it discrimination, and it's not discrimination.
It is. You're discriminating against them as a country. You're discriminating against people coming into this country if they are from one of those 7 countries, from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and Libya. You will discriminate. This ban discriminates against people from those 7 countries.
if you're just looking at it at a shallow level, then yeah, I guess you could call it discrimination. But if you understand anything about national security and you understand how vetting works, okay, I was in the Army and I had to get screened to get a top secret security clearance. They weren't just going to let me in because I said I'm, I mean, look, I'm already in the Army. You can't discriminate against me because I'm already here. They have a right to screen people. And if you understand people who come into our country need to have some kind of screening, then that's not discrimination to say if somebody comes into our country and we can't screen them properly.
These people these people that are being banned from coming in this country have already gone through all that screening process, and they're still being denied entry because of their nationality, because of the soil that they were born on. Like, that's what's unethical.
No, they have not.
Yes,
they have not been screened, and that's why. Then why was that person?
Yes, they have been screened.
Why?
These
then why were they detained if they'd been screened?
Because of the ban.
Because you said they were screened at the airport and then they were released, right? So were they screened before or after they came here?
No, these are people that,
which one is it?
No, these are people that already have gone through screening processes to get passports and visas and green cards and all that.
I already told you that there is a huge black market passport on in countries like Syria and Iran. There are people who will sell you a passport on the street so that you can go wherever you want. So no, screening countries like that where passports can be bought easily off the street. Because again, there's no real good record keeping. There's no way for them to, like we have in the United States, there's no way for them to call up and say, hey, can you look up this person? It doesn't work like that, especially in a lot of the really war-torn parts when they did have that gone. Which is unfortunate.
I have friends that are in Syria, okay? Like, there's certainly some war and stuff going on, but the country's not like there are people over there, like they go shopping, they go out, they do stuff. There's like normal parts of these countries. It's not all, it's like Detroit. Like, look at Detroit.
Okay, well, why don't they go to those parts then?
What do you mean? They go where they can go. There might not be people there.
They're trying to escape this oppressing. Why don't they just go to a different part of their country if it's that good?
Because the war's all over. You know what I mean? It's there's good.
I thought you just skiing and shopping and hanging out just like normal.
Yeah, because they're not forcing themselves into the homes of other people. You know what I mean? Like they're looking to seek refuge somewhere.
Why not somewhere in their own country where they don't have to assimilate into a society that is so different? They're going to essentially isolating themselves and turning into slums.
This isn't even just the refugees, right?
Look at Sweden. Sweden is a perfect example of what happens. Screen people and you just take in as many people as you can. Rape has increased 500%.
Okay,
there's grenade attacks until we started taking
scholars, Iranian researchers and scientists. They're not just refugees, like poor little refugees that don't
outliers exist.
This ban discriminates every single person from the entire country.
So it doesn't sound like discrimination if it's everyone.
It
isn't discrimination if you're discriminating? No, it's not. You're saying that they're not allowing everyone from this country in. That doesn't sound like they're discriminating.
Yeah,
to me, it sounds like they're not letting people from a country.
So it's like everybody from a particular race, nationality. Like, what's the difference?
Race, something you're born with.
You can't help where you were born. You can't help what color skin you were. Those are superficial characteristics. You can't discriminating based on that alone. That's unethical. Sorry, buddy.
We're not discriminating on people's nationality. We're saying that we're living in this certain country cannot come here because we cannot vet you and verify you. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're Syrian because they're able to come here at some later. So I'd understand your argument if this was all about nationality, but it's not. It's about these countries having certain issues. It's not the fact these are these countries, which is what I think you're focusing on. It's like this country's Syria, so we can't let Syrians in.
Trump's travel ban is unethical because it doesn't meet a standard of ethics, good ethics. That's what this
You
whole
keep
debate
saying
is about.
ethics, but that doesn't make this unethical. Like I said, the president has the right to cut off immigration at any point he seems fit. He deems
Doesn't make
fit.
it ethical. President has the right to drone strike a whole
Doesn't
village.
make it
You know
unethical.
what I mean? Hitler had the right to round up the Jews and throw them in chambers, but ethical, no. Did he have the right to do it at the time? Yes.
He didn't have the right to do that.
Distinguish ethics versus rights. There's different. And